Listen. Yeah, you're not going to interrogate me.
We're not interrogating you.
I answer.
I'm not interrogating
I
you.
answer. You can take it or leave it.
This isn't just a contract renewal. I probably feel a lot differently about extending a contract for a year to fill a need, but this is a substantial raise. By my math, it's a 12.5% or maybe 12.25% raise, which is pretty substantial considering the state of the other employees and just past precedent that's been set as far as the raises that they've received or the last time they've received a raise. I just think there's a host of issues with it. The board wasn't involved. It's supposed to be done through committees. There was no committee meeting. We were never approached about this. We were never asked about this. And it's public information. This is not a secret. The superintendent search was canceled as a result of an investigation that was started by the superintendent on one of our board members. And that issue still has not been resolved.
Firstly, we all know that there's litigation pertaining to a sitting board member. The sitting board member was part of the superintendent's search. Being that there's current litigation ongoing, it was my understanding that we cannot have a process go forward with a board member who's involved in litigation. For one, it would take the process. We don't know the outcome, so that process alone right there is tainted. Secondly, as Mr. Dellin stated, the committee was comprised of 5 board members, two of which, Mr. Thomas is no longer on the board, and Mr. Hussein, who cannot participate going forward. So that leaves just 3 board members. Thirdly, the vendor that we had conducting the superintendent search was Dr. McCartney. Dr. McCartney was the state monitor when we had the unfortunate incident with Mr. Frazier. Now that we are being sued by individuals, Dr. McCartney will certainly be under scrutiny for being the monitor at the time of the alleged incidents. So I felt at that time, and I conversed with Ms. Riley about that particular situation, and those were the 3 primary reasons for this board to end the current search and start a new search.
Moving forward, as far as Farouk, you say he can't be part of the income. Who's saying that he can't be part?
I said he should not be.
I'm not asking you, Mr. Caldwell. That's Mr. Steele. He doesn't need to hear your information.
Did you read the information that was sent by a solicitor pertaining to Mr. Hussein?
Yes.
Okay,
Moving
for
forward,
those reasons alone, Mr. Hussein should not be involved with the process.
That's one lawyer's opinion, for one. And can I speak, Mr. Caldwell? I didn't interrupt you.
I'm talking like you're talking.
Okay. All right. Mr. Steele, can I have the floor? Thank you.
Right, let's go.
I don't need any comments, please. I didn't comment when you were making falsehoods, but I'll keep speaking. Falsehoods. Do you need a definition of that?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I'm glad it's okay with you. It's not okay with me, and it's not okay with the public, but okay. And if you want to talk about people that have lawsuits against them, Mr. Caldwell, as he sits right here, is part of a lawsuit. So we're going to give a contract to a administrator that has a lawsuit pending. So does that eliminate him as a candidate for a 1-year contract? Furthermore, if we're talking about Mr. Hussein, how did we find out, how did Ms. Riley come across information that he supposedly didn't live in the city, lived in the city, his wife didn't live in the city? How did we come across that information?
I'm gonna interject at this point.
Okay.
We are so off topic. This is a public hearing. This part of the board meeting dealing with the renewal or extension of Barry Caldwell's contract.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna ask you as board members to recall, there are certain matters that we are in litigation about. You may be deposed about later based on your statements.
Thank you.
I have a line item on this agenda that says $220,000. Now, if there, you know, we're getting ready to vote on an extension of his contract for a year. For a quarter, almost $250,000, and I don't even hold the contract in my hand. We were just talking a few minutes ago, and the superintendent said that if we found a superintendent in 2 or 3 months, he'd be happy to step aside and let them take the reins. Well, I wouldn't like to say that I would also be happy to walk away with $220,000 after 3 months' work. But that's also something well, I don't have the contract, so I don't know if he's salaried or if he's hourly or what the deal is, because I'm voting on a sum that's close to $250,000 and I don't have it in my hands. The public is gonna have to pay his pension for working this year at that rate, right? And with that 12% raise, which a lot of the public is gonna come out and say, hey, they're letting this guy pad his pension. And again, this is not personal. It's not against Mr. Caldwell. This is about us having a responsibility for transparency and fiscal responsibility to the public. And trust me, people are going to read it and be like, what? So that's why I want to make sure that all these things are clear, because this was a surprise to me when I got this agenda. Nobody told me that this was going to be a year thing and that there was going to be a raise involved without any committees.
And